This is what my average day looks like in high ticket sales. I'm here working at a health cafe in Medellin, Colombia, and I literally just closed a 24K deal. You can see it if you zoom in on my laptop in the revenue channel in Slack. And I used to live in Doha, New Dubai, but right now I'm traveling, visiting my family in Colombia because I can work from anywhere in the world. And I want to start this video here because everything I'm about to show you sounds like it would be impossible, especially for a random Colombian like me, but it's all real. So before getting into high ticket sales, I was a yoga teacher in Colombia. I did retreats in Brazil, Thailand, the UK, and the Middle East, and I even wrote a book about it. It's right here. You can find it on Amazon. And my online courses have over 10,000 students on Insight Timer, which is the biggest meditation app in the world. And then in 2021, I got into high ticket sales. So I've been doing this for more than 5 years. I've generated 8 figures in revenue with companies like Matt Gray at Founder OS and Legendary Marketer and Ty Lopez, and even Jeremy Miner interviewed me on his podcast when I became the top closer at a company that had over 100 closers and I was number one. So in this video, I'm going to break down what it actually takes to be successful in high ticket sales. And let me give you a backstory, because most people see the results, but they don't see the process behind it. So when I got into sales, I actually started from the bottom. I was cold calling, selling $47 copywriting courses, getting rejection after rejection every single day. It was brutal. But the difference between me and the other guys I was working with at that time is I had my back against the wall. I had to go all in and I couldn't afford to give up on this. So I just kept going until I made it work. And over time, I got better. I invested a ton in my skills and I climbed the ranks and I became a closer, and eventually I also became a manager. So the question is, how was I able to be successful as a Colombian yoga teacher with broken English? And I'm going to show you the exact framework I have used to close millions of dollars in high ticket sales. So the first thing you need is you have to learn how to turn your weaknesses into strengths. So back when I started, I had the wrong idea about sales. I thought that I needed to have an American or a British accent, and I had to talk fast and I had to be super confident and aggressive. But then I remember one of my mentors, Marco Cortesi, I paid him and Jeremy Miner and Matt Ryder $15K to join the inner circle back in the day. And one day we were having a coaching session, and Marco, who has a very thick Italian accent, he said something that stuck with me. He said, sales does not care about where you come from or what you sound like. The only thing that truly matters is your skills and your work ethic. So instead of trying to speak or to sound like someone I'm not, I started leaning into my accent and practicing my script hundreds of times in front of the mirror. For example, I usually talk slowly because I'm thinking of the words I need to say in English. And I thought that talking slowly was a weakness, but it turns out it's actually one of my superpowers, because people who talk fast usually sound like they want to sell you something, versus people who talk slower, they sound more grounded and like they're listening to you, and you have to pay more attention to what they're saying and you feel like you can trust them. So through practice and repetition, I learned to turn my accent into a strength, because when people jump on a call with me and they expect traditional salesperson, but I don't sound like that. So it breaks the pattern and it lowers their guard. And the other thing I've used to my advantage is my personality, because I'm usually very calm. I'm a yoga teacher, and people say that I have a Zen kind of vibe. So that's another thing that's helped me, because yoga and meditation, they teach you to be more detached, and people can feel that on a sales call. So if you think you're not good enough, or you speak with an accent, or you're not confident, I want to remind you that's just a story, and you can learn how to use all of your personality traits, not as a weakness, but as a superpower, to help you make even more money. The second thing that's been crucial to my success is understanding that sales is a mirror. So everything I do outside of a call has a direct impact on the results I get. Things like living with integrity and keeping my promises to myself, and practicing generosity on a daily basis, giving more than I take, and investing in myself and leading by example, not just one time, but many times, because who you are speaks louder than your words. And even the small actions I take before every sales call, because you might have heard Tony Robbins say that success is 80% psychology and 20% skills. So you need to have your psychology right before jumping on a sales call. And this is something that I learned from my meditation teachers, the Buddhist monks in Thailand, because the most advanced meditators have one thing in common. And it's not some motivational crap or some kumbaya. No, it's just they know how to reset their mind. Just like you reset your phone or your computer so that it can run smoothly. And on a sales call, you do this by adopting a simple but a very powerful frame. You can ask yourself this question: what if this was the last call I ever have? So before you start the call, you have to become aware that this is the first and the last time you're having this exact conversation. Even though you might have done hundreds or thousands of calls before, like me, but this is actually the first and the last time you're having this conversation with this person. So you have to approach it with real curiosity and give it the attention and the respect that it deserves, because the prospect can feel if you're just an autopilot reading off a script or if you're actually present and listening. And I can almost guarantee that if you don't have the right psychology, your prospects will give you more objections. And they'll tell you, I need to think about it, I'll get back to you. Even if you have a good skill set and you're asking good questions, because unconsciously there's something that doesn't feel right. And maybe they don't know what it is, but it causes uncertainty. So remember to reset your mental frame before every call, and just imagine how much more present would you be if this was your last call ever. Then the third thing you need, and this will be controversial with many sales coaches out there, but you need to have a script. Now, I'm not talking about a robotic script or a Google Doc you're following line by line in the background. No, I'm talking about you need to have a framework and a map that you follow, because otherwise, if you're just winging it and jumping from one thing to the next, you're gonna get lost. You're not gonna be able to lead the prospect with confidence. So the most basic framework that I follow is, number one, understanding where they are now in their current situation. Number two, where they wanna be and who they wanna become. Number three, why is that so important to them? Number four, what is the roadblock standing in the way, and what is the cost of them not overcoming that roadblock? And finally, why is it so important for them to take action now? So as long as you follow that simple framework, you will know how to lead the conversation. And when I say that you need a script, what I mean is you need to understand what is the prospect's internal script, what is their identity and their beliefs. Because once you understand how they think, that is when you can truly help them. You can help them take new actions so they can get new results. Because everything we have in life is the result of the actions we take, and the actions we take are the results of our thoughts, beliefs, and our internal script. And ultimately, a sales call it's like a funnel. At the beginning, it starts very wide at the top. You're just meeting them, you're maybe cracking a joke, you're lowering their guard. Then you're understanding their situation, their problems, goals. And as you go further in the conversation, you're leading them into more depth and more specific details. Just like when you go to the doctor and you have a serious health issue, you're not going to get some generic questions. No, the doctor is going to ask you very in-depth, specific ones and give you a specific diagnosis and a solution for you. So be careful with any sales coaches out there who tell you that you don't need a script, because the reality is, and I know most of them, they also had a script when they started in sales. So again, don't be a robot. Don't try to sound like someone you're not. Just be a real human. And then the fourth thing you need, and I wish I learned this sooner, is you need to understand the fundamental principle of sales, which is helping someone make a change. And for us to do that, we need to challenge the status quo. But, and this is one of the biggest mistakes I see with many closers, and even with sales coaches who tell you that you need to challenge every prospect and you need to challenge their beliefs and in reality, you need to earn the right to challenge someone first, because just put yourself in their shoes. If you challenge someone at the wrong time with the wrong tone and you haven't earned the right, it's gonna backfire. Because imagine if you jump on a Zoom call and you just met a random dude online and suddenly they're telling you that you're a pussy and you're not thinking or behaving like a successful person. Well, you're probably gonna tell them to fuck off because they just haven't earned the right to challenge you. So before you try to reframe their identity and do all those fancy word tracks, you need to cover the basics. You need to build trust and understand and listen, and then ask for permission. So one of the most simple and powerful things I do on a sales call is, after I go through my framework, and I never challenge at the top of the call because it's just not gonna land, but when the time comes, usually after future pacing, after I ask about their limitation, I simply ask them, hey, I appreciate the honesty now. Can I be real with you? So when it comes to achieving XYZ goals, do you want to work with someone who tells you what you want to hear or what you need to hear? And as soon as they agree with you, then you earn the right to challenge. But that doesn't mean that you start attacking them as a person. No, you need to attack the behavior and the limiting belief. And one of the best ways to do it is to simply share a personal story, because people don't remember some theory. They remember real experiences and stories. So one of the most powerful things you can do is share a personal story. Something like, hey, I know this might sound cheesy, but I genuinely understand where you come from, because I've been in similar situations where I had to have an honest conversation and make the decisions to step out of my comfort zone and invest in myself and get the help I needed so that I could get the results I wanted. So let's look at this together. What do you feel is really standing in the way of you getting to your goal? And do you think you'll ever get the chance to get there if you keep holding on to that limitation? Because what's going to happen for you if you keep holding on to that and you don't achieve your goal? So why do you feel it's so important for you to overcome the limitation now? Why not just wait another day or week or month like most people? And that's how you challenge someone at the right time in the right way. Because it's just like going to the gym. You know, if you want to get a six-pack and you just join the gym, you probably don't want to work with someone who you met a minute ago and suddenly starts yelling at you, telling you that you're fat and that you're lazy, right? And on the flip side, you also don't want to work with someone who's laid back and tells you, hey, like, don't worry, just come back tomorrow or next week. No, you want to work with someone who tells you what you need to hear at the right time in the right way. And here's the thing. None of this requires you to put on a mask or try to be someone you're not. It's actually the opposite. It requires you to be more human. You know, I've closed so many deals by just being a real human and reading the room and adapting to each prospect's personality and even speaking different languages. I've closed so many deals in Spanish and Portuguese. I've closed deals by sharing my own story because it cuts through the skepticism and it makes it more relatable. So if you're in sales, but you want to get better results, or you feel like you're not enough for whatever reason, or maybe you have an accent, or English is not your first language like me, listen, you don't need any of that. As long as you have the right psychology, you're working on your skills consistently, and you follow a framework that actually works, then you can also be successful in high ticket sales, whatever success means to you. You can have the freedom to travel and work from anywhere. Because if someone like me can do it, and I'm just a random Colombian, I used to be a broke yoga teacher. If I can do it, I'm pretty sure you can do it too. So if you want to learn more, I created a free community. It's called Wealthy Sales Pro. You can click the link below. I do some live Q&As and I share everything I know, not just about sales, but also about investing and growing your money. And I even share my personal call recording so that you can see how I close deals from 5K up to 100K. Or if you'd like to have one-on-one mentorship, you can shoot me a DM. Either way, if you find this valuable, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you soon.